Hey everyone, it's Matt Williams from Williams & Gray and welcome to this episode of Brand You. In this episode we're going to tackle an important problem, I suppose, an important point that we all need to be aware of as content creators, as people trying to build a personal brand, and that is how to deal with haters. Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of Brand You. Now then, this is something that we've got to tackle, and we've got to tackle it head on, I think, as content creators, as business people, as people who are trying to build a personal brand. Now, by definition, by building a personal brand, we're putting ourselves out there, we are starting to grow an audience, we want to get people to be aware of who we are, the services we offer, the problems that we can solve for people. But here's one of the things, as we naturally try and build our kind of status, our authority, our position of expert knowledge and ability, there are naturally going to be people along the way who are going to resist that. There are going to be people along the way who are going to try and call you out. There's going to be people along the way who leave comments on social media which aren't pleasant, which, you know, particularly when you're putting the amount of work and effort in that it takes to make this content, to make these videos, to put yourself out there in the first place. You know, most of us are quite nervous when it comes to doing that, and it's not a pleasant place to be. And then, no matter how positive you are, no matter how good your information is, no matter how much you know about your industry over and above other people, and it's not always about that. What we often find, and we found it in the niches that we've gone into where we are experts, particularly in the aviation world, and unfortunately, there are people who seem to get their rocks off on trying to belittle you. There are people who, naturally, as we try and pop out of the top as the kind of authority figure in a space, who resist that and push back against it. There is no point trying to stop it happening. There is no point trying to stay so neutral that that doesn't happen, because one, it's going to happen anyway. Regardless of how neutral, how placid, how passive you make yourself and your content, there are still going to be people out there who disagree with your opinion. There are still going to be people out there who think that they know better than you. There are still going to be people out there who think that they can do it better than you can. And do you know what? The best thing you can do is to just ignore their comments or remove their comments, and ultimately to block them from whichever channel it is, whether it's Twitter, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's YouTube. You know, and we see it particularly prevalent on YouTube and particularly prevalent on Facebook. If you are going to try and build your personal brand, then you unfortunately have to line yourself up for the fact that this is going to happen. And the better you are, we've found, the harder you push, the kind of, you know, and this is why I say there's no point being neutral about this, because it's going to happen anyway. So, and if you're too neutral, you're never going to get known. You have to, at some point, cause some level of polarization. When we look at certain characters in the media, and when you look at the characters that get the most press coverage, the most press exposure, and I'm not saying this is a tactic that we recommend, because we definitely do not recommend this going down this road, but the people who tend to get the most exposure actually are the people who the majority of us think, what on earth are they doing? How are they getting away with doing this? How are they getting away with saying these things? But you know what? It gets them the exposure, which ultimately gets people to know them, not necessarily like and trust them, but actually in some cases it doesn't seem to matter. It's about making the noise and getting known. So, like I say, I'm not condoning that route. That isn't a route I would go down, particularly if you want to be known as an expert, as an authority in your field. You need to maintain that kind of level of authoritative demeanor, I guess, and you need to make sure that people get to know you because you're doing the right thing. One of the big things along the way is haters, and dare I say it, actually, the way you're going to have to deal with it is to fuck the haters and ignore everything that they say and ultimately cut them out, because do you know what? Those people aren't the people who are going to come to a seminar with you. Those people aren't the people who are going to buy your book, who are going to come and buy your products and services. Your target market are the people who are going to benefit from you answering the questions that they are searching for the answers for. And by you being the answer to that question, you know, you becoming the solution to their problem, you can ignore the haters, put them aside, you know, People are always going to be jealous of those who are successful, of those who are succeeding, of those who are putting themselves out there and who are doing what it is really that they don't feel as though they can and they aren't able to do. And that's one of the ways to look at it, if I'm honest. If people are caring enough about your content to hate on your content and hate on you, then do you know what? In a way, I'd say you're doing something right. You're getting yourself out there, you're becoming known, you're generating the noise in the right places. But do you know what? Actually, the way to go back to them, if you did want to address them, and I'm not suggesting that you do, is to say, do you know what? If you disagree, that's fine. You start a channel, you start, creating content to prove to us and show the world and the community why you're an authority, why you're the expert, and why we should listen to you instead of people listening to me. So, I hope that kind of quells your fears. Ultimately, this is a digital landscape. Those people can't get to you. They can't hurt you as such. Just put out there what you think is right and truthful and true and honest. Fuck the haters. I've been Matt Williams. Now get out there and brand yourself.